Hello and welcome to the Movie Podcast spoiler-free review of Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. My name is Daniel, and joining alongside me as we traverse this multiverse is Shahbaz.
Hello.
And Anthony.
It's about to get strange.
I don't know why. I don't know why that hit me.
I thought you were going to say something like things just got out of hand, and there was like a Jack Nicholson impression.
Yeah, that was a Jack Nicholson.
Yeah, but you just went, things are about to get strange.
I've been saying it all week.
You said it on the show this week too, didn't you?
You've been teeing up this.
I said it like 3
line.
times. Yeah. So hopefully, if you're that common listener,
a commoner,
a commoner,
Commodore,
you would laugh at that.
I liked it.
Yeah, I
appreciated
it's like
it.
this little Easter eggs you've been throwing in that eventually.
callback.
Yeah, it's your Doctor Strange as an '80s film line.
Yeah, I liked it a lot though. Shay, how you doing though?
You know, I'm doing great. I'm also now wondering, what is my multiversal self doing? Like, what's he up to?
Do you think they're alive?
Oh my
Probably
god, I
doing
hope
a
so.
podcast.
He's probably doing a
He's
podcast.
probably doing a podcast too. Yeah, I think all my versions are just doing a podcast.
So, what do you think the multiversal version of our podcast is called? Do you think it's still called the Movie Podcast, or do you think it's just called something like
the film podcast.
the Film Podcast?
And the other ones, the other world is like the cinema podcast.
Interesting. So, in every universe, we're just basic as fuck, eh?
Unless they have, basically. But unless
pretty
they
much,
don't call them podcasts, they call them like brainwaves or something like that.
They call them brainwaves.
Yeah, the movie Brainwave.
Okay, I like. I'm here for that. Anthony, how are you doing though?
Doing well.
What about your multiversal self?
Doing well. I don't know my multiverse. I think I'm the only one.
You think you're the only
I'm the
Anthony?
only one.
You're like a nexus being. Is that what they call? Like they're just like you're the same. You're like the same in every universe. Just one person.
No, I'm the only one.
Like you
There's
are the
no
only.
other
You are the only
versions
version
me
of you.
in other universes because I don't dream.
Well, okay then.
So sad.
There you go. As always, you can catch a brand new episode of the Movie Podcast every single Monday. We have a great episode out right now that you could check out, as well as our reviews that you could listen to. There are so many of them that you could listen to on the Movie Podcast feed. As you're listening to this episode, just scroll through our feed and see what else is there. There's a lot.
Yeah, there's a lot of good stuff in
There's
there.
a lot. Make sure you follow us at The Movie Podcast on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, and Letterboxd. And don't forget to leave us a review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, join our Discord, and write into the show at hello@TheMoviePodcast.ca. You can also follow us on YouTube.com/TheMoviePodcast, and you can check out our show notes for all of those links and more. Now, today, of course, is all about Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. But before we dive into all of that, I just want to remind you that we do have merch available right now that you could purchase. If you want to dress like us, if you want to look cool.
Wait, what?
I'm saying, if you want to dress like we do, buy a Movie Podcast shirt.
That's true. That's all we wear.
That's every single day I wear this shirt.
Yeah.
I go to bed in this shirt.
Oh.
I wake up in the morning wearing the
You
shirt.
shower
still.
in the shirt.
I shower with the shirt.
Do you
everything.
blow your nose?
Into the shirt?
Do you blow your nose without your clothes on?
Well, I don't know. You guys were like leading into a lot of things that you do with your shirt, so I was expecting.
I
you to
blow my
your-
nose while wearing a shirt.
Of course.
And sometimes the shirt I'm wearing
Use it as
is
a
my shirt.
napkin?
No.
I use it as a blanket.
Oh. Well,
We should come out with blankets.
So here's the thing. You could do a lot of things with these shirts, but you could also help us keep the lights and the mics on here at the Movie Podcast. So please, if you like what we're doing and if you want to find out a way to support the show, that is the best way of doing it, and you get a shirt out of it. So I think that's a pretty good deal. Now today is all about Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. This film is directed by Sam Raimi himself, and it stars Benedict Cumberbatch as Stephen Strange, Elizabeth Olsen, Chiwetel Ejiofor, Benedict Wong, Xochitl Gomez, and Michael Stuhlbarg, returning from the first Doctor Strange movie. Nice role in this one. This film is going to be released exclusively in theaters on May 6th. And I want to say thank you to our friends at Walt Disney Studios Canada for inviting us to watch this film. Now, before we dive into our first reaction into the synopsis, there's also something else really cool coming to the Movie Podcast feed this week.
I think a friend of the show.
I think a friend of the show. I think we're allowed to say a couple friends of the show. Director Sam Raimi and writer Michael Waldron of this very film we're about to talk about are also going to be guests on our show this week.
Yeah. They help us review the movie.
They're just so critical of it for some
They're
reason.
like, we loved it. We thought it was great. Sam's like, yeah, it could have been better.
Could have been better, yeah, sure. Michael's just like, yeah, why did I write that? I don't know. But it's it's one of those things that I think we're still processing it. And we were kind of joking around, like, thank God we have footage of it, because I don't think we would have believed it unless we saw it, unless we heard it. So if you're listening to this review on the day of its release on May 4th, you'll be able to check out our interview with Sam Raimi and Michael Waldron. Now, without further ado, let's get into our spoiler-free review of Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, and I'm going to kick it to Anthony to start us off with the synopsis.
In Marvel Studios' Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, the MCU unlocks the multiverse and pushes its boundaries further than ever before, journeying into the unknown with Doctor Strange, who, with the help of mystical allies, both old and new, traverse the mind-bending and dangerous alternate realities of the multiverse to confront a mysterious new adversary.
This film has been a long time coming. We've been waiting to see glimpses of this film, and I feel even like the trailers and everything have been teasing so much, and we are finally here. And I just want to remind you that this is going to be spoiler free, and we will have a spoiler cast on this film very soon. We want to give all audiences a chance to watch this movie before we dive deep into everything. So listen safely. Don't worry, we won't spoil anything. Shay is going to start us off with the first reaction.
This really is Marvel's first horror movie, and I think what I really, really enjoyed about it was that it kept me engaged with every minute that was occurring. There was a lot of good horror. There were a lot of good visual moments. But overall, this is such a nice step up from the first Doctor Strange movie, which I also enjoyed. But this takes all the right moves. And the best part about it is it feels like a Marvel movie, but it also feels like a Sam Raimi movie. So you get kind of the best of both worlds. You know, the performances in this movie are absolutely phenomenal. I think Elizabeth Olsen is carrying such weight from WandaVision into this movie that, you know, you don't really skip a beat. You kind of just walk into it, and she's killing it on every level. Benedict Wong is fantastic. Benedict Cumberbatch is fantastic.
Yeah. And Xochitl Gomez,
and Xochitl Gomez is such a scene stealer. Like, if anything, my only critical moment of this movie is that I wish there was more of her. And that's the best part about this, because we're gonna be seeing more of her obviously down the road. She's gonna be a very pivotal character to the Marvel franchise. So this movie, man, it had me so hooked. And I love that it was a 2-hour film, because the pacing was just right. It went from scene to scene without ever making you feel kind of bored or slow.
We've been here too long. Let's go. What else is happening?
It kept you so engaged, and at the same time, it was scary that it pushed that PG-13 rating to the point where I think if they maybe added just a little bit more, then it would have been R.
There's some genuinely terrifying moments in this movie. And even for myself, that I think the last couple years that I've been a lot more open to different horror and just like kind of embracing that. Even there were moments in this film that I was just like, wow, like that was something that I would be very scared to see as a child, right? So I think right off the bat, there's going to be like younger audiences seeing this film. They're going to see things that is going to, I think, stick with them and scare them. And I kind of like that. I like the idea of younger kids being scared, only because like when I think of things that we watched growing up, we watched so many like horror films and shows that were either from the 70s and 80s that were generally scary, or we would watch shows that were, you know, parodying them or inspired by them. And I think it's important to have those it's important, I think, as a kid to go into a movie and be scared and kind of have those feelings, because that's also going to open up your mind to other films. And we were talking just this week about how, you know, somebody watching the Batman may now go explore other films like Zodiac or Seven or things like that. And I think a movie like Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness is going to open up people's minds to maybe go check out the rest of Sam Raimi's library or other films of that genre, because it's going to do that.
When I was 11 years old and I watched the first Spider-Man film by Sam Raimi, there are some generally scary moments in that. I mean, we talk about when Green Goblin comes to life and grabs, you know, Dr. Strom.
Back to formula.
You were scared?
Yeah, man, I was 11, not 40. Yeah,
I'm scared. I'm still scared. I'm still scared.
I was a kid, man. 11 years old, you're not like doing your taxes.
At 11, I watched quite a bit of scary
doing coke at 11?
Yeah,
like,
Anthony was working in the coal mines. Nothing scared him at 11 years old.
I mean, okay, so yeah, sorry, man. As an 11-year-old, I was scared of it, but like it caught me by surprise. And in this movie, I feel like 11-year-old or 10-year-olds will get scared.
There's scary moments in this movie.
There are scary moments, but I feel like the kids nowadays, this generation,
they see worse on the TikToks.
Pretty much.
What are you watching on TikTok?
Well, you'll be surprised.
They're growing up in a different time, and video games and all that, and just how they interact with the world. I feel like this is tamed scariness to them.
Yeah, it is. It's
scary, but
it's
tangible
scary.
scariness.
It's scary in the sense that it's horror film scary, where it's like this is a scary face, or this is the disturbing ghost or goblin or ghoul. Like it's scary like that kind of way. It's like a horror movie scary where it's fake, but it's still disturbing. Yeah. Anthony, where are you at with Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness?
This movie from start to finish is a full-on spectacle. Like if you dive into this movie from the beginning, there is no introduction to this movie. There is no titles to this movie. It's just like, boom, you're in it. You're in it, and you're in it to win it. I want to say that.
You're in it to win it.
What did you watch?
Some people are in it to win it.
But yeah, like I thought the pacing for a 2-hour film really got me hooked. It was engaging.
Yeah.
You cared about the characters. You cared about where the story was going. You cared about, you're introduced to Wanda. And the last time we saw her, she, from WandaVision,
she may have had a town possessed.
She had a town possessed, and now she's a Scarlet Witch. We really don't know what side she's on at this point, right? We don't know, is she the villain? Is she the hero? Is she the anti-hero? Even with Doctor Strange, we saw him in Spider-Man, but what has he been doing since then? So there's a lot of like plot points, but that doesn't matter in Sam Raimi's world. From what I've seen from what I just watched, it really dives into the multiverse.
Yeah,
that is at the root of this movie, is the multiverse and how important it is going to be in the next 10 years. And watching Doctor Strange recently, and how many times they've actually said multiverse. Never in my head, like I put the idea of like multiple universes at that time, because it was so fresh and I didn't know where the Marvel universe was going to.
Yeah, we didn't know that, like at that time we're like, oh yeah, cool, multiverses. I think multiverses for us, when we thought about it, were just like, oh, he's going on a trip and like he experiences things differently. I don't think in 2016 we were thinking about, oh, he's going to show up in this world and this character is going to be there and this character. I don't think we thought of it that way.
And I never thought of Doctor Strange as someone who transverses the multiverse. He's more of like a sorcerer, so he would go into like different dimensions and he would deal with a lot of like the dark horror aspects of it, which we see a lot of in this film. This movie is the first, compared to the What If episode of the zombies, this is like the most horrorish movie.
Hold on a second. Hold on.
Red card.
Yeah,
but it's
flag on the play.
But it's a tameable horror. Like there's Sam Raimi takes his look of horror, and there's a little bit of comedy in it.
Yeah.
But it's not as scary. But at points, it can be scary and it can be shocking.
Yeah.
There are a lot of scenes in this film that we all looked at each other and wondered, wait, what's happening?
Yeah, like they just did that.
They just did that, and you're gonna love it because you're gonna get so many different takes on Wanda. You're gonna get so many different takes on Doctor Strange, America Chavez. Like there's so many things that are happening, and you will leave this movie with more questions.
Yeah,
and that's how I left. I left more questions,
and a lot of questions, but wanting more of it.
But wanting more. Like,
yeah,
it was such a good mashing with Sam Raimi's direction and like the Disney Marvel.
Like sandbox that they're in.
Sandbox, like that cookie cutter.
Yeah.
This is what
this is our formula.
Yes.
But you direct it however you want, but this is kind of like our vision.
Right. And I think compared to Eternals, this is the most un-Marvel-ish movie that I've seen, and that's not a word.
That sounds like a negative review you'd see for the movie.
It's just like, this is good because we want,
not marvelous.
Because I feel like a lot of the directors they sound the same and they look the same and they feel the same. Well, this one has a lot of Sam Raimi looks.
There are shots straight out of Evil Dead, and a lot of Sam Raimi isms in this film.
Yeah,
it's plastered with it.
It has its own identity, I think, and that's what you're trying to get to, right? Like it looks like it can be its own movie, but 100%. Still be a Marvel movie.
But it takes risks because you are relying on a look that has been around for such a long time. You don't even get this out of Spider-Man. Like, this is more Sam Raimi than Spider-Man Sam Raimi. You know what I'm saying? Like, Spider-Man felt like, yes, there was Sam Raimi, like visual things that you would see it,
right?
In it, but this feels so much Sam Raimi,
especially just when it just dives into that being scary.
But I think Elizabeth Olsen stole the show for me.
Yes,
because she's the fucking Terminator.
Oh my lord,
she is the Terminator in this movie. She's a Scarlet Terminator.
She's the Scarlet Terminator.
She's scary, and she has like this goal in mind that she needs to achieve, and nothing's gonna get in her way.
She's at the top of her game in this movie. Really, like, this is watching her just run a class on everybody. Was phenomenal.
And this is the thing, we're now picking up after WandaVision. We've seen, we've had Elizabeth Olsen in the MCU since 2014, where we see her introduced in the after credit scene in Winter Soldier. We see her here in Age of Ultron. We see her in Civil War. We've had this build up with her, and now we have her after Endgame, after WandaVision, after having a town hostage. And when I was rewatching WandaVision the last couple weeks, you realize how just dark and sinister that is, where you just see them how scared the townspeople are. Like, well, my daughter could play with your sons, or if that works for you, or if not, and they don't know what's going on with their kids. Like, there's some dark layers to that show. And at the end of WandaVision, it kind of seems like Wanda kind of gets away scot-free, but we see now. We see what goes on in this film. And again, we're not going into spoilers in this, but like you guys both said, Elizabeth Olsen is phenomenal in this film. She carries this movie. She's the Scarlet Terminator. But the thing I love so much about this movie is that it's Marvel at their best. This is what Marvel does best. They're giving us great characters. They're giving us great direction. They're giving us great visuals and a great story that you just get lost in for 2 hours. And this movie's just over 2 hours. And you have just... the entire time you're just having fun with it. You're scared. You're laughing. Your jaw is open, you're in awe of what you're seeing on the screen. And I love that. I had such a great time watching this. And this is the type of movie that is made to be watched with an audience. Yeah. I'm already picturing scenes of this movie where the crowd is just going to go crazy. And this is going to be the new thing where we're going to see reaction videos posted and things like that, because there's going to be a lot of great moments in this movie. Now, if you're expecting a movie that's just full of cameos, that's not what this movie is.
Temper your expectations,
but go in knowing that you're going to get a great superhero film, you're going to get a great Doctor Strange movie, and you're going to get a great Scarlet Witch movie. And just know you're going to leave excited for what's next, the next 10 years, like Anthony said.
This really is the movie that opens the multiverse. If Spider-Man
opens the third eye of the multiverse,
if Spider-Man No Way Home was the discussion of the multiverse, this is that first foot in. So if you're expecting, man, they're gonna see like everything, you have to really remember this is still a Doctor Strange and Wanda film.
It is. And as someone who I've been a champion of the first Doctor Strange film for 6 years now, I absolutely adore this film. This feels like a worthy successor to it, and it gives it a new layer with the horror, where it dives deeper into it, and having a character like Wanda is great. My biggest letdown though for this movie, and again, this is no discredit to this composer, but the score for Doctor Strange, it was so iconic, and we got that throughout Endgame, Infinity War, the Doctor Strange film, and in Spider-Man with Michael Giacchino's score. We have Danny Elfman now coming in, doing his own thing, and there's some weird moments of the score. There are some great nods to other movies and shows in the score, but I felt a little underwhelmed by the music in it. I'm excited for the score to actually come out so I could listen to it fully and properly, but as someone who to this day listens to the Doctor Strange score, I didn't really leave thinking about the music as much as I hoped I would.
Yeah.
Any other final thoughts on Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness before we give our final recommendations?
For me, no. I think I can't wait to do our spoiler cast.
Yeah.
Me too.
I was just
Me
that's all I
too.
was gonna
Can't wait
say.
That's
to do a
all I
spoiler
wanna
cast
do.
because we're not allowed to say a lot, and
No, and we don't want to spoil
and
anything
we don't
for
want to
anyone.
spoil anything. But I think there's a lot of conversation to happen.
Definitely. A lot of questions, but we'll have a lot of answers too.
A lot of questions.
Anthony, start us off with your final recommendation.
Yeah, this is a definite watch for sure. If you're a fan of WandaVision, you're a fan of Doctor Strange, you get both of these characters in the same movie. They're going to tell a story that's absolutely shocking because it's unexpected. I think a lot of Marvel fans will be second guessing themselves when it comes to who they think or where this movie is going.
Right.
Let's say that. But yeah, there's a lot of things to take away from it, and I think a lot of people will like it.
Shahbaz, how about yourself?
Watch it. Yeah, I mean, it's so hard to say anything else about a Marvel film because you're gonna watch it. And I think this is definitely one that if you're ever curious about Marvel, or maybe you're like, I'm kind of falling off the Marvel bandwagon. No, this is a great one to kind of restart that for you because the horror elements are just right and they really kind of refresh the genre a little bit.
I'm going to go 3 for 3 here. This is an easy watch. This is the movie you've been waiting for. Go watch it in IMAX. I think you're going to have a great time with it. It's scary. It's full of action. It's full of heart. And it's a damn good movie. And I'm so excited to watch it again with you guys. Thank you so much for listening to the Movie Podcast review of Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. Don't forget, we have Sam Raimi and Michael Waldron joining us on the Movie Podcast tomorrow or May 4th, depending on when you're listening to this. We are so grateful for them for sharing their time with us. And if you want to hear more about the movie, and again, we keep it spoiler free, make sure you tune in, and you could also watch it on YouTube. And don't forget, you can catch a brand new episode of the Movie Podcast every single Monday. And watch out throughout the week for our review episodes on all the latest movies and series. Make sure you follow us at the Movie Podcast on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, and Letterboxd. And don't forget to leave us a review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, join our Discord, and write into the show at hello@TheMoviePodcast.ca. You can also follow us, like I said, on youtube.com/TheMoviePodcast and check out our show notes for all of those links and more. That was this time with the Movie Podcast, and we'll see you next.